morning and happy Wednesday, also known as Live Day. So I have to apologize in advance if you're hearing power tools in the background. There is major reconstruction of my kitchen going on the other side of this wall. So fun times, right? No, actually it is. I'm super excited. They're going to be drywalling today. It feels like things are moving along really quickly. So I love that they gave us like a longer timeline, because now in my mind I've been like adding weeks onto this timeline, but it looks like things are actually moving along a little more quickly. So yay! I'm going to have a new kitchen soon. I'm super excited. So today I'm going to talk to you about bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. So this is a topic that I have been talking about for, probably close to 7 years now. And it's one of the things that I get asked about most often. I get DMs on an almost daily basis about this because I've done a few YouTube videos that have been super popular, and there's not a lot of information out there about it. So I really want to talk to you about my experience. I also want to say that I'm not a doctor, not a medical professional. I'm just sharing from my own personal experience with hormone replacement therapy, and just letting you know a little bit about the things that I've tried, how things have evolved over the past few years, if they make me feel better, and the ways they make me feel better, and the different modalities for bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. So good morning. Life is always grand. Thank you for joining. Susan, thank you for joining. So we're going to talk about hormones. Woohoo! How exciting is that? So I'm over 40. And honestly, I started having issues with my hormones when I was in my mid-30s. I want to say around 35 is when I was really like, okay, something seems to be off here. Hi, Sherry, Life of Aloha. I see you. So I started really noticing things were off. Like I was having some hot flashes and some night sweats, and there were weird things happening with my cycle. Like my periods were getting heavier, and I was having more cramping, and PMS was like out of control. So I was thinking at 35, there's no way I could be in perimenopause or having premenopause symptoms or anything like that. So I started talking to my doctor about it and opening the conversation up with her. And I actually heard from 2 different women this week who are in their mid-30s who said that their gynecologist told them they're crazy because they feel like they're having these symptoms, and they said, oh, there's no way, it's way too early, that's not happening. I just want to tell you and validate your experience for you that this did start happening to me in my mid-30s. So if something feels off to you, don't let a doctor bully you or negate your reality or say this can't be happening, because it absolutely can. And this may be a time for you to start exploring other doctors or even looking into functional medicine. There's nothing I hate worse than going to a doctor and saying, hey, I have these symptoms and I don't know what's going on. They run labs. The labs come back. They say, oh, your labs are normal. You're fine. No, I'm not fine. I don't feel fine. So there's usually a deeper cause or some underlying thing going on. Not all of the hormone labs show when something is going on. I know in particular with thyroid, your thyroid numbers can look perfectly normal, but you can still have suboptimal levels, and they can be causing symptoms. And this absolutely can happen. So if you are having issues, and if you take one thing from this live today, let it be this: keep pushing for answers, because you deserve to have a better quality of life. You deserve to feel good every single day. So keep pushing. All right. Back to the hormones. So when I was about 41, I went into my doctor's office, and she had me fill out this little hormone profile. Yes, life is always grand. Hormones rule the body and the world. Absolutely, 100% true. They have everything to do with so many things, so many systems in your body and the way that you feel, and they can affect mood and your metabolism and just so many things. So when I was 41, I went in and did this assessment that my doctor handed to me, and I checked off these little boxes about sleep health and sex drive, and whether my hair was falling out, and the condition of my skin, whether I was losing or gaining weight easily, all of these things that have to do with hormones. And there were a few numbers on that checklist that really stood out when I took it into her. And one of those was that I had no sex drive, and I hadn't for years. And I've been really, really open about this because I feel like it's something we're not talking about But I was struggling with this and it was embarrassing and I didn't want to bring it up with her, but it was great because she handed me this form and I didn't have to say anything. I just checked a box on it. And she asked me some questions and said, how long has this been going on? And I said, well, ever since I had my last baby, honestly. I never felt like things ever came back to the extent that they were before that. And we started digging in a little bit deeper and she said, I think that your testosterone might be really low. I suspect it, but let's just go ahead and run some labs and we'll see. And then we'll talk about some options for there. So we ran labs that day. About 2 weeks later, my reports came back. And lo and behold, I had almost no testosterone. So at that time, I did not realize women need testosterone, but we do. It's super important for us. We also gain the benefits of testosterone, like building muscle and being more assertive. And absolutely, sex drive is tied to testosterone as well, as are estrogen and progesterone. But this was really the key for me, discovering that I did not have this hormone, that my body was not making it for whatever reason. I don't know why, it just stopped. So she talked to me about the options that were out there. She, at the time, was recommending that I try pellet therapy. So if you're not familiar with this, pellet therapy is when you get a little teeny tiny pellet of hormones inserted, usually on your upper hip. I'd say on my butt, but it's actually up higher than that. In a tiny little incision, and it releases hormone every single day in a measured amount, and it lasts about 3 months. So she talked to me about the procedure, said, it was basically pretty painless. She would give me a local, we would do the tiny incision, she would butterfly bandage it, take about 2 weeks for me to even start feeling an effect from the pellet. We would start low and slow, which again, if you take something from this live today, let it be this: always start low and slow with your hormone therapy, because if you hit yourself with too many hormones at once, it's going to cause all kinds of side effects and you're going to say, this is not for me. I've had so many friends and, followers and people who have seen my YouTube videos come back to me and say, Allison, what did you do to me? I feel awful. This is terrible. Well, the issue is that they went too high on the hormone dosage to start off with. My doctor's extremely conservative with this because she knows that it's going to send you running in the other direction. So definitely start low and slow. So we started with the lowest possible dosage of testosterone. About 2 weeks later, I started to feel it kick in. I'm going to be honest. If you're doing testosterone, even estrogen and progesterone, you can have some irritability. So that might be the first thing that you start noticing as the hormones are releasing into your system. But after that, it levels off. And each time I got a pellet from that point forward, it got a little bit better. Whenever I would increase my dosages, I had those side effects kind of ramp back up again, but then they would calm back down. So if you do have side effects, do know that over time, things do get better. So why bioidentical hormones? Bioidentical hormones are not synthetic, and synthetic hormones have gotten such a bad rap in the media, specifically because of a study that was done back in the 80s when women were given synthetic estrogen and it was feeding cancers. They were taking it unopposed, meaning that progesterone was not being prescribed at the same time, which is one of the reasons why this was happening. So there was definitely a link there between synthetic estrogen and some estrogen-fed cancers. I don't have all the specifics on that study. I just know that the bioidentical hormones are plant-based. They're not created in a lab. They're not created from horse urine, which I think synthetic estrogen is, which is kind of gross. But they are mainly plant-based, made of things like, I think, sweet yam or something like that is in estrogen. I don't know. You can do your research on this, but they are made to more appropriately mimic what your body produces, and they're gentler on your system, and they have not been linked with cancer, which is amazing. So back to the pellet therapy. I have done Biote, B-I-O-T-E pellets for about 7 years. This past year, I did switch over because I was having some weird autoimmune things going on with my body, completely unrelated to the hormones. But whenever I would get my pellets, my body would kind of want to reject them. So I was having an allergic reaction to them. And my doctor said, let's take a break for a little while and, let your body reset. I've had weird little allergy things happening on and off the past few years. So I switched over this past year to Transdermal Creams, which I'm going to talk to you about today. So I've got my estrogen cream here, I've got my testosterone cream, and then my doctor also prescribed me a progesterone pill to take at night. How do you know which hormones you need? Great question. So if you have any questions, please ask them. Hi, Sandra Lynn. My pleasure to share this vital info with you. So your doctor's going to run these panels for you. I now see a functional medicine doctor in addition to my gynecologist, and she runs more in-depth panels. My last panels did show that I was low on all 3 hormones, and that I was actually starting to show signs of being postmenopausal in my blood work, which was a total shock and surprise to me. I believe that I never really felt the postmenopausal symptoms, probably in large part due to the fact that I have been doing the creams and I have been doing pellets the past few years. So that sort of leveled things out for me. But I did switch over to transdermal creams a couple months ago. So the transdermal estrogen is something that I apply 1 pump a day. It is prescribed as 2 pumps a day, 1 in the morning and 1 at night. But the thing that I like about transdermal creams as opposed to pellets, and I'm going to tell you the advantages and disadvantages of each, is that with creams, you have control. And it doesn't hit you all at once, so you can kind of play around with the dosages, see what makes you feel better, see what doesn't, and go from there. And that's what I love about this, because of about 3 days of doing this twice a day, I started having some really not severe, but bad side effects, like disrupting my daily life side effects. I have a hiatal hernia, and for some reason, it fires up whenever I have a lot of estrogen in my body. Weirdest thing, I know, but hormones affect everything, and this is proof of it. So after 3 days of doing this twice a day, my hiatal hernia was killing me to the point where I just couldn't function. I was like crying. It was hurting so badly. So I backed off and I started doing this once a day, and then I spaced it out to once every 2 days, and now I'm doing it on an as-needed basis. And the way I can tell I need estrogen is that it affects my mood a lot. If I start to kind of feel down and don't feel like I have as much energy, then I know that I could probably use a little bit of an estrogen boost. So I've just been doing estrogen on an as-needed basis. Now, testosterone. Sandra Lynn said her last lab panels showed all low hormones in April, and she used pellets, but the drop before the next pellet was brutal. Yes, I know. You can tell when the pellets wear off. It is so true. I would always be able to tell, like, my energy levels would just plummet right when my pellets started to wear off. So you've got to find that sweet spot in there. If your doctor is running regular labs on you, you'll be able to know when your next pellet is needed. I say it's about 3 months, but it depends on how quickly your body metabolizes the hormone in the pellet. So with testosterone cream, I apply this every single day. I don't really see many side effects from testosterone. Transdermal cream, I'm going to say that the transdermal for me is less effective than the pellet overall. I will most likely go back to a testosterone pellet in a month. I'm getting my labs done. I'm going to see where I'm at, see where we need to start at with the pellets. But this gives me a little bit of an energy boost. I haven't noticed as much muscle building ability as I used to have when I was on the testosterone pellets. I haven't noticed that it's helping much with fat burning. The pellets seem to help better with that than the transdermal cream. One thing that I have noticed though is I haven't had as much unwanted hair growth with the transdermal cream, but I did have a little bit of that with the pellet. So I started to get, some black hairs on my chin, which are no big deal. I pluck them out. It's not a big deal. A lot of my friends who are my age and not doing testosterone are also getting black hairs on their chins. So it may not necessarily be 100% attributed to this little guy, but it does definitely have some kind of effect on that. So all that to say that if you are starting out with BHRT and you want to ease your way into it and transition into it, then the creams might be a great place to start. So in order to get these prescribed, though, you have to have it done through a compounding pharmacy so that they individually create your cream specifically for you. My functional medicine doctor is the one who prescribes my creams for me. My gynecologist is the one who does my pellets for me, although I'm sure some gynecologists do the compounded creams. It just really depends. You'll want to make an appointment and talk to your doctor to find out what they do and what they prefer. And as far as progesterone goes, I take a pill at night before I go to bed. It has been helping with my sleep quality. Progesterone is also can be a mood enhancer as well. Progesterone really has kind of a calming effect on your system. So I do that in addition to the estrogen cream in the morning. So any questions? I am an open book on all of this. I will tell you the things that have improved whenever I started BHRT. Number one was sex drive. And if you think you're going to be walking around like, ooh, baby, baby, all the time, no, that's not the way it goes. It just makes you more responsive. That is the best way that I can put it, to being totally honest. But it does, help with responsiveness. I also notice, again, with testosterone, the ability to build muscle a little bit more quickly. And no, I don't have big muscles by any stretch, but I do see that whenever I work out, I'm able to build a little bit more muscle mass than I was before. Sandra says she's having great success with Testosterone Sublinguals from Physicians Preference Pharmacy in Houston. That's interesting and great to know. She says she's taking 6 milligrams sublingual in the AM and PM and now has a flat stomach and muscle tone. Woohoo! The power of testosterone. See, this is what the guys get. Like when Craig and I decide that we're going to start, doing better with our diet and our exercise program, he drops weight like that and burns fat really quickly and builds muscle really fast. I'm like, gosh, I wish I could do that. But it's all about the testosterone. So yay for you, Sandra Lynn. Thank you for sharing that. That's something to look into too, is that you could do sublingual with this. Ask your doctor about the different options that they have for it. Some other benefits that I've noticed, my skin has been so clear and so smooth, and it was dry for a while, and I feel like the oils are coming back on my skin again. The same thing with my hair is growing again. I've got lots of new growth in here. I lost a lot of hair last year, but you can see like there are tons of new growth pieces in here. So definitely helping with my skin. It's definitely helping with my hair. It's definitely helping with sex drive. It's helping with some muscle mass. Hoping to get that fat burning back and that benefit back. I'm going to switch up the testosterone in order to do that. But yes, there are so many different benefits. I've also noticed whenever I started doing the estrogen and progesterone again, that I felt like, although I've had a uterine ablation and I don't really have cycles per se anymore, I could feel my body going through cycles again. So I'm going to be interested to see what my blood work in June shows compared to my blood work in February, where it showed that my hormone levels were almost to the point where I was postmenopausal. I think that adding in the transdermal creams has definitely helped me to get back on track with having cycles again, which is great. Yes, and my hair isn't as rough anymore. It's softer than it used to be. Joint pain, testosterone is an anti-inflammatory, so it also helps with that. Estrogen as well. Sorry, I'm seeing the question here from RBO Bean. Were you scared to start the hormones? I have noticed I can't lose any weight. I have sleep problems and have been thinking of trying some bioidentical therapy. Were you scared to try them? In all honesty, the first time I did it, I was more afraid of the actual procedure of the pellet getting placed than I was of anything from that point forward. And the funny thing was I didn't even think about, oh gosh, I'm putting this in my body and it's going to be in there for 3 months. So I have no control over whether, I can get it out or not. So I didn't really think about that at first. Again, if you are apprehensive about stepping into this process, start with the creams or start with a sublingual or another way that is not a more, I don't even want to say permanent, but a longer term solution, so that you can kind of try it out and see how your body's going to feel. So I wasn't really scared. And I think that another factor in that was that I wanted to feel better so badly that I was willing to try anything. And I think that a lot of us kind of get to that point where like, okay, the risk that I'm taking here is not as big of a deal to me now, because I am experiencing these symptoms and I just want to feel better. So I think that had a lot to do with it too. So to answer your question, I was not scared the first time. Another question we have, Sandra said, how long have you not had cycles? It's been around 16 months for me and I'm 46. So I just had a cycle this month. Weird. I hadn't had one since December. And again, I have a uterine ablation, so I don't always have actual cycles, but I can feel the cramping happening. I can feel all of the symptoms that I would normally get. I just don't have the bleeding. So the ablation stops that from happening, but I do feel like I'm going through cycles again. How did you find your doctor? So you can go, if you want to do pellet therapy, you can go to biotmedical.com and you can put in your zip code and find a doctor that does pellet therapy in your area. If you don't do pellet therapy, you can find functional medicine doctors that do the transdermal creams or the sublinguals. I know that there are testosterone clinics popping up everywhere. They're mainly geared toward men, but you could definitely give one a call and see if they're serving women as well. Sandra, maybe you can share with us how you found your sublingual doctor. Since you're on here, I'm going to crowdsource this. And she also says start with the short-term solutions because they kind of ease you into it. Have you tried biosauna pellets? I have not. I don't think so. See, my functional medicine doctor gave me a pellet one time. It was not Biote, but she did not tell me what the brand name was. I do know that it didn't seem to work as well for me as Biote did. So that's why I'm going to default back to them whenever I do my next pellet. Any other questions? I started this therapy 7 years ago. I don't ever have any intentions of quitting it because it makes me feel so good. And I feel like this is something that we do have control over. We don't have to go through perimenopause and menopause and just kind of, tough it out. There are solutions out there for us to feel better and to feel more, have more vitality and feel more vibrant and have better health and all of these things. We don't have to just succumb to this idea that when we go through menopause that we're going to gain belly fat and it's going to be harder to lose weight and we're going to lose muscle mass and we're going to lose our sex drive and our hair and skin's going to be dry and all of these things that we're dealing with, vaginal dryness, all of this stuff. We don't have to deal with this. There are solutions out there. And, we're not living in the same time as our mothers were where we just had to just kind of get through all of this. So do know that there are solutions out there. Dig for answers. Don't take no for an answer. Don't allow your doctor to tell you just because your labs come back perfectly normal and you still feel like this, that there's nothing going on, because I promise you that there is a solution out there and you can find the right kind of doctor who will dig a little bit deeper to find out your root causes for the symptoms that you're having. So again, just don't give up. Advocate for yourself. Advocate for your health. If anything, over the past year and a half that I've been having health issues, that is the one clear message that has come out of this, is that you've got to keep pushing for answers and you've got to keep asking the questions. So Sandra said a functional PA told her about physician's preference pharmacy in Houston. Oh, great idea. Speak to the pharmacist, she says. Speak to Brianna, the pharmacist, and tell her I sent you. So yes, pharmacists are an amazing resource for this. So call your local compounding pharmacy and ask them what doctors are prescribing through them, and they will be more than happy to give you a referral. One Savage McGill says Dr. Kelly Casperson is a great resource on Instagram. So check out Dr. Kelly Casperson. I'm going to look her up. And you can get some information from there as well. Again, there's not a lot out there right now going on in the BHRT world. And I feel like this is something that we need to talk about more. There are so many topics for women over 40 that we just need to get out there and start talking about more and sharing our resources with each other, because there is a better way. There's a better way for aging, and there's no reason why we can't continue to feel our best. I feel as good now or better now than I did in my 20s because I've learned so many things about my body, and I've gotten to know myself better, and about diet and how it affects me and what certain foods are triggers to me, and learning about my hormones and my cycles and what I need has been just so crucial to ongoing health and to feeling good every single day. And that's what I want for all of you. I just want you to feel really good every single day, and I will always be an open book about all of my experiences, whether it's getting my eyebrows tattooed on or getting bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. I want you to know that I am an open book, and I feel like one of my purposes on earth is to share with you the experiences that I'm having to help make your life better too. So feel free to continue to DM me with these questions. If you found this useful, helpful in any way, I would love it if you could share it with some of your friends and open the dialogue about this. It's something we're not talking about. Maybe next time you're at lunch together, you can talk about this particular live and share it with them and send them to my Instagram to watch, because I think that this is something we all just need to open the dialogue about and be more open about together. So thank you so much for tuning in. And again, if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask away. I hope you have an awesome day. Bye.